Everybody, 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 everybody. We are still in the armor of God. Week 2, day 5, the strategy session, right? So she says you should, Sister Shirer says, you should constantly and consistently be marked by the truth of God. She said God's truth should be the banner that flies high on your flagpole of your life. We should be show everybody, I'm a Christian. I love the Lord. Don't come to me with that foolishness. I love Jesus. You know, some of us have our struggles, and our struggles may present too. You may have a flag for your struggle, but let your flag of God, you know, the true flag, stand higher. You know, that need to be completely elevated. Them other flags you got, let them try to keep them lowered. I promise you, I try to keep my personal flags, these issues of my heart that I'm working on, that I keep bringing before the Lord. I put them flags. They always at lows, the lows, what they call it, the low rise. But the flag of truth. Okay, I know this is what I do, but I know that this is not. I'm working on God's truth. I'm walking in God's truth, right? So she says your flagpole of life, and those of you that love and share a relationship with them. She said the church as a body and warriors against the darkness and its culture should be known for its commitment to the unchanging, unadulterated truth of our great God. Without this prevailing standard, we'll always be subject to falling for the enemy's carrot, falling for that dangling carrot of the enemy. Okay, so not only should we show that we're walking in God's truth, but we should be amongst a congregation of believers that are standing in truth. So for all of you all that don't go to church, you know, you need to consider joining a small group, getting amongst people, whether it be physically or even virtually. You should be amongst believers, and that's church, right? Where you're talking about God, where you're reading God's word. You know, you are following this podcast, or this is not a podcast, but this little video. This is the beginning of church, so you and I are in fellowship together. But I'm not hearing your words. Are you responding? Are you giving me some feedback in the comments? You should be doing that with me if you feel inspired to, as well as you can share with other people, and you guys can talk about the video, or you all can get this book. Guess what? It's a study book. All I'm doing is giving you the words from the study book. I'm giving you my opinion on it because it's so good. I just can't keep it to myself. But you should also be finding a way to develop your own strategy session, right? Okay, she says, you know, you should know that the enemy is trying to destroy God's perfection, not just in us, but in other descendants of the followers of Christ. So we should not allow the enemy to lead us down a path, containing devastation and that also causes generational consequences, because, it begottens, right? So we are holding on to the curse of Adam and Eve, but we don't want our children to have the same curses. You know, now we know there's a big sin, right? But then there's specific sins that we need to break generational curses of. And that's because we're praying, we're being honest about it, because the problem with Adam and Eve was that they weren't honest. When God was looking for them, he knew where they was, but why can't you say? Just like your kids upstairs, you hear what they doing, and you be like, hey, you know, you call their name. What you doing up there? Nothing. That's the first sin. That's the first sin. You lied. You lied. You know you up there doing. I can hear you. Or sometimes they real quiet. Especially them little ones. They get real quiet. First you hear them doing all the stuff upstairs. You know, okay, they doing something. I know they into something. Then it's just silence. And you like, do I need to go up there? Or Lord, what do I need to do? You know they caught up. And then you get up there, you may smell something, you may see something. You see them videos that the parents then walked in. I wouldn't even have time to video. If I walked in and saw paint all over the place or tissue all over the place, I ain't got time to video that. I'm getting at you. You know, we got to deal with some consequences and repercussions for whatever you done did. So I ain't got time to be videoing what you did, but some people, they got time for it. So Satan's strategy against you is equally clever. So, you know, she talked about how the enemy drew attention to Eve, and what he did, he tricked her into ignoring God's abundance. You know, what God said. He let her focus on one particular tree where you got all these trees, all this fruit. You focus on one. Okay, he changed her focus. And that's what the enemy does. His strategy is just with you is clever. He plans to zero in on your deepest insecurities and desires with intentions of showing you how you can bypass God's will to meet every single one of your needs. So God is looking at all of your stuff. But the enemy, he can't focus like God. So he tried to, but he can't. So he got this one thing he trying to focus on. He trying to get you to focus on that too. So your strategy is to pray. That's how you go against the enemy. The belt of truth is what you need to use. She says you need to gird yourself, protect yourself day to day, moving forward with the belt of truth. Okay, we need to learn how to be a divine warrior. And I love how she says, pure worship of Yahweh has been replaced by unapologetic, unadulterated, perverted practices of sorcery, prostitution, and even child sacrifices, which is very sad. So but God says we need to worship him in spirit and in truth. And one of the ways to worship him is through songs. So, I'm not a great singer, but I love music. And, don't get me wrong. I'll listen to some jazz. I may listen to some other stuff. But when I get with the Lord, if I'm going through something and I'm praying in the spirit, I need to have some background. And I can't be listening to something that's going against, I'm up here, worshiping God. And I'm thinking about all the things your man won't do. Come on now. That ain't how you worship the Lord. So we've got to make sure that when we're worshiping and we have the sounds in our mind and in our spirit, we should be listening to music and melodies that are also attributing to our worship, so we can be divine warriors, right? I was listening to I think it was I don't want to say her name right. I'm not saying her name right in my mind, but she is calling people to consider taking 30 days off to not listen to any secular music. And I have already failed. I got to Friday, I was doing good, and I got to Friday and I was like, I'm off, let's just get it. And I was jamming. And so I got to start all over. But I can see how, that palette of music, how that can change your life. Just that palette. All the stuff you're doing, but just do a day or two. I think I'm going to be intentional and do day to day instead of doing a whole month. I'm going to be intentional day to day. I'm not going to listen today. I'm not going to listen today, but I got it on my calendar. We're not listening to anything but gospel today. So be intentional. All right, y'all. This is day 5 of week 2. Everybody.